It's the 1940s and World War II is raging. Thousands of young men are enlisting, ready to fly and fight for freedom. But among them are women. Unexpected, uncelebrated, and yet about to become some of the most important figures in aviation history. It's April 24th, 1943. The warm breeze over Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas, carries the proud voices of a graduating class unlike any other. 38 women started this journey. Now 24 stand tall. They are the first Women Airforce Service Pilots in American history. But this journey wasn't easy. Their courage, determination, and skill will be tested in ways unimaginable. So how did they get here? How did a world at war open the skies for these trailblazers? This is their story, a tale of grit, determination, and a legacy that would echo for generations. Hey everyone, welcome back to Aero Exploration and another installment of This Week in Aviation History. Before we get started, if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out and want to support what we're doing here, you can now join us on Patreon, which is linked to Flying Midwest Media. There you'll get exclusive early releases and behind-the-scenes content. Your support will help keep these stories alive and bring more great content to the channel. So for this week's bit of aviation history, we're going to be diving into one of the most inspiring and at times overlooked chapters in aviation history. The Women Airforce Service Pilots, or WASPs. In 1942, the world is engulfed in war, and the United States is struggling to keep up with the demands of the fight. While factories are producing thousands of planes, there's one big problem. Pilots have become scarce. With many men already overseas fighting, a gap emerges and the demand for pilots becomes overwhelming. General Henry Hap Arnold faces an impossible question. How can we keep these planes flying without enough men to fly them? Fortunately for him, this is where two visionary women enter the picture. Jacqueline Cochran and Nancy Harkness Love. Cochran was a talented aviator in her own right. She's already a seasoned pilot, and she saw an opportunity. She pitched the idea of training women pilots who could ferry aircraft around the country, thus freeing up male pilots for combat missions. Initially, her idea was met with skepticism by the military brass. Meanwhile, Nancy Harkness Love, calm and pragmatic, pitches a very similar but simple idea. Use already qualified women to ferry these aircraft. At first, it's Love's plan that will prevail. 30 women, the originals, form the Women's Auxiliary Flying Squadron. But Cochran wasn't one to back down. She would demand a larger and more ambitious program. And in 1943, the Women's Airforce Service Pilots are born, uniting Love's and Cochran's flying programs under one banner. But don't think for a second that this was an easy road. The idea of women pilots, especially in a military setting, was radical at the time. Many military officials and even society believed that women simply couldn't handle the mental and physical strain of flying. But the WASPs were about to prove them all wrong. Welcome to Avenger Field, the only all-female airbase in the United States. But don't let their camaraderie and smiles fool you. These women face grueling challenges every single day. To even make it this far, candidates had to meet rigorous qualifications. They had to be American citizens, have a high school diploma, be between the ages of 18 and 34, with a minimum height of 64 inches. They also needed to have a pilot's license with 200 hours of log flight time and an intense physical exam from Army flight surgeons. Oh, and let's not forget, a personal interview with a recruiting officer to prove that they had what it took. The training at Avenger Field was not for the faint of heart. These women would undergo the same tough physical and mental challenges as their male counterparts, but with one major difference. They would have to fight for every inch of respect and recognition. For them, proving that they belonged in an aircraft was not just about skills. It was a fight against deeply rooted societal norms. A typical day would start well before sunrise, with physical fitness drills meant to build upper body strength needed to control these large military airplanes. From there, the women would be thrown into intense classes, covering everything from meteorology to navigation, Morse code, mechanics, and parachute packing. From there, they could expect flight simulation time in the Link Trainer, which would test their endurance and their nerve. After each phase, a check ride with an Army pilot would determine their fate. Some would move on, and others would be sent home. Their mission was clear: prove that women were capable of doing the same dangerous and difficult work as their male counterparts. And when they passed with flying colors, the world would never look at aviation the same way again. So then on April 24th, 1943, history was made. 24 women would stand tall on the parade grounds. Each one carried the pride of those who couldn't finish and the weight of the doubters who said they didn't belong. Their success rate would send a powerful message to the world. These women weren't just skilled, they were essential. Over the entire length of the WASP program, over 25,000 women would apply, but only 1,830 would be accepted into the program. And of that, only a little over 1,000 would complete the training to become official WASP pilots. So the first class has graduated, they're off into their journey of aviation. But even after they graduated, they still face some immense challenges. Despite having just proven their skills and the invaluable contributions that they could make, they were still met with some resistance. The men in the military didn't take them seriously, and some of the pilots had to face constant pressure of proving themselves worthy of their place in the skies again and again and again. Meanwhile, the WASPs were being tasked with some of the most dangerous missions. They would ferry planes across the country, sometimes in some pretty treacherous conditions. They also helped to train thousands of male pilots. In fact, by the end of their service, they had flown over 60 million miles and completed more than 12,000 flights. But none of this was easy. Many would face harsh weather, mechanical failures, all while public expectations were still incredibly low. They flew every type of aircraft that the military had at the time, including bombers, fighters, and transport planes. In fact, many of them were often the first to fly new planes, and many pilots later on would credit the WASPs with helping iron out the technical issues before combat pilots would take over. So despite all the obstacles they faced during the war, they would press on. But their greatest challenge actually came after the war. When the war ended, their service was largely forgotten by the public and the military alike. For decades, they were denied recognition and the respect that they had earned. When the Air Force announced its first female pilot training program in the 1970s, the WASPs knew better. They'd been there first. Senator Barry Goldwater, who had actually ferried planes alongside them during the war, was one of the staunchest supporters. It wasn't until 1977 that they were granted veteran status by the United States government, a long overdue acknowledgement for their service. Decades later, the WASPs will be honored for their contributions once again. In 2010, they received one of the nation's highest honors, the Congressional Gold Medal, joining the ranks of Tuskegee Airmen and the Navajo Code Talkers. At the White House ceremony, surviving WASPs stood along modern female pilots, their legacy clear in every salute, every medal, and every spoken word in their honor. It's fair to say that their legacy goes far beyond medals and awards. It's about the doors that they opened and the paths that they cleared for countless women who followed in their footsteps. Their courage would pave the way for generations of women in aviation. Today, female pilots are seen flying commercial airliners, military jets, and spacecraft. All of this was possible because of the trailblazing women who flew before them. The WASPs weren't just part of history. They helped make history possible. The story of the Women Airforce Service Pilots is one of resilience, courage, and determination. They helped shape the course of aviation, even though their contributions were overlooked for far too long. But their legacy lives on in every woman who takes to the skies today.
It's been an exciting life from a little kid that grew up on the beach in Honolulu and flew little Cubs and Stinsons and things. There were so many experiences, and when I sit and I'm alone a lot and I see something, I turn TV on and then they have something about a plane or something on there and it brings back memories, and I've got lots of good memories to think about. I'd love to do all of this again. It was the highlight of my life.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this installment of This Week in Aviation History, right here on Aero Exploration. And if you like this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who you think should hear it. And don't forget that you can support the channel on Patreon to keep stories just like this one coming your way.